Alright, it's Friday, so I'm gonna post this later today. Because I did the other video, I did one on Alex Jones, I thought I would tune in to his broadcast, and so I did that earlier today. It was probably about 10 minutes in, and I watched for maybe like another 10 minutes until I shut it off. It was Owen, and he was just describing basically what are they planning as far as with him. That's what he was talking about, because he's noticed this pattern that they've had. And so I shut it off, and I thought, you know what, I was actually thinking to do a video on Roger Stone, but I'm going to do Owen instead. And I feel directed towards this area. Like, what I mean by that is because like there's something that's trying to be communicated to me, and why I'm going on this. So the reading has now begun because I feel this is relevant to you, Owen, where for me personally, there's this frustration that I feel lately, and it's kind of made me feel like I'm taking several steps back, which I'm aware that I'm not, but it just reminds me of how I used to be, where I would be short-sighted or short-tempered when it comes to spirituality, because there was a lot of moments growing up where I could seemingly force information out of my spiritual team, and that was truly supposed to happen in the way that it did, and I tempered myself, and that was a process that I had to learn. But I've gotten to a point with maturity that I feel like I'm not necessarily entitled to information, but it just feels like more difficult to just to interpret sometimes. And it just feels like the language is expanding, like the way that things are being shown to me has changed. It's increased, and so I have to kind of relearn. It's not relearning, but I have to expand my vocabulary when it comes to like my spiritual vocabulary. And so there's a frustration that I get with that, because it almost makes me feel like a baby again. It just makes me, I don't know. You get what I'm saying? So I see a connection with you, because it's almost like this frustration where I can see you genuinely saying like the things that you said, where I genuinely do not know what's to come. And it's frustrating because I feel like I should know this. I should be able to predict this or sense it, intuit this information. And yet I'm unsure. And there's a lot of internal conflict, I feel, when it comes to your personal life, like your interpersonal relationships, and how that could potentially evolve considering your circumstances as far as your career goes. Like, where can I open up with myself, or how can I express my vulnerabilities and not compromise myself? Like, how does this all work together to where I can have like a happy, fulfilling, peaceful, and open relationship? And so I wanted to start with this deck first, because I'm not going to interpret. I don't feel like I'm going to interpret what's in here, but I feel drawn that whatever card or cards fall out, this is someone that is significant to you in some way, and I would encourage you to research whomever this person is, because this is specifically tailored to you for whatever reason. your guardian angels want. I'm going to show you the one that keeps poking out. Well, I'm going to show you these, but that's not the one that was poking out. And then I'm going to shuffle again, because I want one to specifically, or some of them to specifically fall out. Where is it at? I saw his face. Okay, then obviously that was not. So let me show you these. It's Confucius and Saint Barbara. Numbers 2, 21. The words empowerment and wisdom. But again, it's mostly the people that I feel need to be connected. So that's a side note. We'll see what else comes out. Okay, well, this one keeps, oh, it's Saint Barbara. She keeps showing up at the bottom. I have my eyes closed, and then every time I open it, it's Saint Barbara. So make sure to look into that, and let's see. This is the same. Okay, so this is my mistake then, because I was flipping through looking for a specific person, and this is the exact cards that were back here. So they did not shuffle out of order, and they fell back out. So this must be what we have here. So Confucius again, Saint Barbara again, Socrates, it says divine connections, which is very significant for you, which I'm going to get into. We have Plato, student of the universe. Marie Laveau, respect. I believe that's how you say it. Florence Scovel-Shin, intuition. I'll see, since I don't know if I'm pronouncing these two names properly. Okay, so I'll leave this here because we have St. Barbara. Alright. Love me some Socrates. Okay, so divine connections is significant to me because I'm not entirely sure how this plays out for you. I can feel it, but I can't interpret it fully. Where I don't know if you're in a relationship or you have a premonition of meeting someone that's going to be a significant person in your life, like a long-standing relationship, or if this is again that conflict that I see of your personal life versus your work connections and your work life, and how this all plays out. Like if you have this desire to have a personal relationship, but you can see that like in order to be open and vulnerable and trust someone, then you have to, there's always going to have to be a line drawn, or at least that's a concern for you. And there is also what I see is potentially a relationship, maybe not necessarily considered traumatic, but it wasn't the best relationship. It was a very painful relationship, in the like one of the most recent ones, and that has left you feeling like you're scarred. And so that's playing into this as well. I want to jump into some notes that I have here, because this is, I was sitting here listening, and these are the things that I want to address first, and then we'll kind of see where everything leads to. But I can see the connections here with what it says: intuition, respect, and wisdom, empowerment, divine connections, so on and so forth. So when I was first thinking, I used the placards floss. So I saw in my mind, I was being drawn to the back of the placards bag. When you purchase them, it says smile like everyone's watching, and super tough. That's the words that I was being drawn to in my mind, is super tough and smile like everyone's watching. And it felt like your guardian angels were highlighting it as a mockery. Like, they're highlighting it because it's a warning that those that are watching, in the sense of looking to cause conflict in your life, would say something like that, or have that perception of saying that in a way to mock you. It's like a taunting type of thing. And the more I concentrated on that, I was trying to answer the question for you of how they would, like, what is their next move towards you? Because that's a question that you have. And so what I saw was this image of a clean sweeper, but I'm not sure the name of the piece of machinery, but they take them through buildings and it cleans the floors. And I saw you conducting that machine, and then you ran over yourself. And so what I'm interpreting from that is that they're looking to criminalize you, to criminalize yourself, where basically you will say things that will incriminate you. And yeah, it could be similar to what they had done with Alex Jones as far as the financial sector of things and using his words against him. But it seems a lot more intense when it comes to you, and that they have this perception of, we can just sit back and wait for it and pick apart every single detail, because the more he talks, the more potential, and we just have to find that one thing. We just have to find that one bit that will be able to weaponize against him. And as I was getting this imprint in my mind, there was it was like highlighted in my mind on the upper right side of my brain, and that lit up to me by saying, if you were to watch this video, then whatever you initially think as I say this, or like as I said previously, of like you criminalizing yourself, of like, what if it's this particular subject? Like, something will come to your own mind, your own imagination of, this is it. Then that's the correct answer. So be wary of that and be alert when it comes to that, because there's truth to that. It's not something that you've done already. It's that they're waiting for something, or that you've said things that hint towards them being like, okay, pay attention, because he can slip up any moment, because he's, talking about something that, we can use against him, that kind of thing. So I'm just going down the line right here. So it says, trust no one. Trust absolutely no one. And I'm going to get into the connections and everything, but this is the message I was getting from your guardian angels, is they're saying, trust absolutely no one at this time. No one at all. And that sounds painfully lonely and frustrating, but consider this isolation as a gift, in the sense that it strengthens your spirit. It's kind of like calluses that are building on your body, and like the exterior of you. So it's a lot of friction that's being caused on the external part of you, but it's to protect you. And it trains you for independence and leadership. And I wrote down this other message where it says, leaders may have advisory boards. The generals, they go and talk amongst themselves or their people in order to bounce ideas off of them. But in truth, they possess the inner guidance from the ethereal realm, right? Like, really powerful, good leaders, and bad leaders do the same. But that's what they're doing, is they're pulling from outside of this realm a lot of that advice and information. And so this is all just training for you. And I specifically say a general because I see that they were saying, like, being a visionary isn't the goal for you. Like, maybe you have these ideas or thoughts of, like, I want to be known, or I want to be a visionary, or I want to survive. Like there's this survival. I put survival isn't the goal either, because I feel there's a lot of fear that's developing in you and has developed in you, and it's kicking in your survival mode. And basically what I'm seeing is that don't allow those fears to dictate your reality. Don't let that consume you. You're very capable and you will achieve the things that you are here to achieve. Try not to over concern yourself or over stress yourself with these things. But basically independence is the goal, and independence is tied directly into your enlightenment. So enlightenment is really the main goal here, and you will achieve this. And the general I see is because you are going to be continuously catapulted into this leadership position that really feels to me like a general. It feels like, whether it's an intellectual war, which I feel is being conducted right now, or what it is, but I do feel that you are developing yourself into this. You are in the process of it. And I feel there is an awareness there, but there's also that the normal questions that people have, and I feel like you have a very complicated mind, in a positive way. It's a very positive, you have so many different workings in your mind, and they're all constructive. But because it works so much, there is a part of it that can start, it's almost like you have to oil the metal, right? Like the little spokes or whatever's like moving, turning. Like you have to make sure that's being maintained, which means sometimes you have to kind of take yourself out of the situation in order to evaluate it, to see. You don't have to stall on whatever this is working, right? Like I'm comparing it, what I see is kind of like a clock, the inner workings of a clock. Like you don't have to stop the clock in order to maintain it or to oil it, right? You just have to take yourself out of that situation and be like, okay, you know what? Let me look at it from like the clock worker's point of view, instead of looking at it from the point of view of you are the clock. Get what I'm saying? Okay. Now I put that they won't. They won't. And then after I was done writing this, I looked up, I'm like, they won't what? What was I talking about? And then I looked here. And so it's reminding me to look here again, because these two are directly associated. And I said, too much good prior advice. So basically, it's like this thought that I see that you have of the what ifs. Like, what if they get me? What if the negative could happen for me? And what does that look like for me? And they won't. They won't. Why? Because you have way too much good prior advice from people that have been through it to different capacities, but also because they're aware, and they're part of this system in a different degree than you. I feel like you're much more innocent. You're much more pure is kind of what I see. You're not the same, and that's a good thing. And so that's where sometimes it might look like it's a distraction because of your sensitivities with regards to this. But because you've been guided by people who are slightly corrupt, you can use that prior advice and knowledge to protect yourself. And I do truly believe that you will. You will make those right decisions at the right time. That's just the way that it's going to be for you. And then I saw, don't rely on anyone anymore for anything. Do not do it. Do not allow whatever kind of dynamics that you have had previously where there was any slight, I'm not going to say codependency, but just reliance and trust in other people to kind of carry the weight of certain things, or to explain something to you, or kind of complete something for you. There's like a sense that like maybe you just kind of became slightly complacent with, it would be essentially like if you had an assistant, or like, you know, what is the tax, anyway, like a CPA, and then you didn't check on them, you know what I mean, and you find out that they're taking from you, or they're not doing their job properly because they have their own prerogative. It is not necessarily to harm you, but you just have to be, diligent and responsible for every aspect of your life. Again, it's going to seem very frustrating in some ways, but you have to go back to like the bigger picture of things. This is really training you for what you are set out to do. This is training you for your ultimate mission that I see. You're a baby compared to like the where you're going to be many years from now, which I'm going to get to. But then as I said this, I put home life and a question mark because it brought me to this other part of you. And this other part of you was, it was that same thing that I was saying, where it's like, how do I develop an interpersonal relationship without divulging classified information? You hear stories, and it's true, and I'm sure you know this, but people who are privy to classified information talk, even when they're not supposed to, and oftentimes they get away with it. And I see it's very important that you don't do that. But I see there's a sadness. There's just there's like, it's like almost like this concern that, will this leave me lonely? Like, will this leave, like, is this worth it? Because I have so much love to give. How can I effectively balance this? Or like, what sacrifices do I really have to make here for what I believe is like the greater purpose? So it kind of gives me this lost feeling, like a trailing thoughts. Because it feels like sabotage. Like almost like you're like, if you were not getting along with people work-wise, and it's taking up so much of your time or energy, or like even just your lifestyle has to change in some way, and it's a sabotage on your personal life, or like your home life is being disrupted. Maybe there's, I'm not really pinpointing this, but I'm just throwing this out there, like concerns of like, if you have financial concerns, and it's like, how is that going to reflect on me in interpersonal relationships? Like, how does this, like, bigger picture stuff in my personal life, how does this all play out? I just feel like you're gonna get everything that you want in life. That's just what it feels like. It's so vague. I feel like what I'm saying, everything I'm saying is like, oh, it's sound advice, but it's kind of vague. Like, everything's gonna be great. Everything's gonna be fine. You might be feeling this, and so there's like my personal frustrations when it comes to that, because I'm looking for something more specific for you. And I think I got pretty specific already, but like, I want something very specific, very, very specific. And this is just repeating to me, like, even when it comes to your private life, that you're gonna know, you're just gonna know when the moment is right for you to make the proper decisions for yourself. And you're gonna do everything at the right timing. I just don't see any issues, and it feels like even this is saying like the worst is behind you, and I do feel that. I don't think that you When I connect to your energy and I think about the realities of what I believe are occurring, it brings me hope and clarity that things will be okay, because I see you being a major player in this. And you feel different than the rest. And so part of this, I noted it as youthful explosiveness, where you may potentially have vices that need to be curbed. And the story that I was seeing is people surrounding you may have long-standing vices, and they use it to cope with reality. And so that is a very dangerous situation when you consider your circumstances, not just spiritually speaking, but worldly, how that can potentially be used against you, how that can cause weak spots in your gear, your soldier gear, whatever you want to call it. And so it's a warning. It's not necessarily a warning. I'm not going to say it's a warning, but they're really highlighting this, or like I think it's more of words of encouragement, like you're doing a good job at doing this, of curbing your vices, because it feels like you are fully aware and to a different capacity than others surrounding you, that these vices will leave you energetically susceptible to attack. And there's just a commitment from you that feels very pure. And again, honorable. That's the words I'm getting. It's very honorable, and your guardian angels feel very proud of you for this. Because you haven't been this driven in like prior lives, like recently, you've had this same drive, but not the clarity that you've had in this life. Not this like laser intense focus and interpretations that you have now. It's been lifetimes in the making. But always a forward progression, just positive and positive and positive progression. And so, like, if there is someone in your private life that you have concerns or thoughts or worries, or even just like of being vulnerable, there is encouragement to just believe that when the time is right for you, you will know and you will take the right steps. You don't have to mark too much pressure on yourself. It will come at a time that's appropriate for you. And you don't have to concern yourself with matters that are just going to end up distracting you. Because you can view this life and the things that you feel are evading you or troubling you as a temporary sacrifice to the greater cause. And the greater cause is the spiritual cause. And this is such a short life when it comes to the realities of the soul, right? The lifespan of the soul. And so don't overly attach yourself to this limited, you can only do so much in your life anyway as Owen. So it's kind of this feeling of like, don't worry too much, because you're doing the right thing and they're just really happy for you. They're really proud of you. I'm not going to say they're happy for you necessarily. That doesn't really sit right the way I said it. It doesn't feel, they're just proud. They're proud, and I just see there's a female watching over you. And maybe this is this divine connection that I'm seeing. So there's a female, I can feel her energy like watching over you and protecting you. And it kind of feels like she's here in this world. Like she's alive, it feels like, potentially. She's alive, or like, you know who she is, at least. If she's passed away, like her spirit is around here somehow. So I saw this image and it feels distant. So how this comes across is this is either indicating something of like your future, or this is like you actually like reading an autobiography soon, or in the distant future, I guess, or somehow this connects. But basically I saw you and you felt older, like you looked a lot older, like in old age, and there was an autobiography written on behalf of you, or the words and the wisdoms and experiences of, that's why I put the words / wisdom and experiences of Owen, on behalf of Owen. So you're a very important player in history. You know, you don't know you're making history until till the future, I guess, in hindsight. So anything else? Archangel Gabriel, angel of wealth, intentions. What I see, first of all, you can look into Archangel Gabriel guiding you and protecting your mind and your thoughts and your spiritual progression and information being delivered to you is assisted. The clarity is assisted by Archangel Gabriel. And what it seems to be here is having a playful approach, like trying to maintain a lightheartedness, not to like an extreme degree or anything, but at least for your own heart's sake, because that'll kind of unclear blockages, right? Like when people view what they do as play rather than work or chores, then that allows you to understand things on a different perspective and operate a lot quicker and faster. Like, don't be too strict with yourself on how you receive messages or how you deliver messages. Like, obviously be wary and be alert and be aware, but don't overly restrict yourself. Believe in yourself on the way that you do this. And what I see is, like, as you keep your intentions clear, as you keep your intentions pure and you focus on those higher intentions, all of these financial concerns that I see are following you, and your fears, and how that plays into your personal life and the disruptions there, you're going to be taken care of. You don't have anything to worry about. And also there's like this feeling of like not letting pride get in your way with anyone or anything. Like, just stay humble and honest, and again, honorable, because what you're doing is so much more than these little concerns, you know. Like, that it's like, it would be in hindsight, reflecting on Owen many hundreds of years to come, or however long, those minute distractions or concerns is like so silly. Yeah. And achievement. Focus on what makes you victorious. So again, focusing on the things that you've done right, focusing on the things that you do well, focusing on the things that you bring you strength, inner wisdom, inner power, and you got it. You got it. You got the knack. You got the information. You got the wisdom. You got the power. You got the good, tangible, practical advice from those surrounding you. I saw 1940, if that's significant, and I feel like pull one more, but it's angel wisdom, so wisdom's coming through a lot. Wisdom's coming through very powerfully, very strongly. It's constantly, I wrote it down, it's here. It's like, make sure to also intentionally call upon the wisdom of God, of spirit. It's coming to you in waves, right? Like crashing into your awareness constantly. This is not something that's hasn't been happening for you. So that's just verifying for you. There's something that I'm like trying to think. It's like one more, but what? But what's one more? What is one more? Let me see. Maybe I'll just pull. Let's see. What could it be? Is this okay? Let's try this. No, it's not this. Okay, I'm gonna try. Okay. Oh my goodness. Knocking everything over. Okay. Guardian angels, what is it that you want to know? What is it? Can you please show me in the card which one? There's a specific one that you want me to show. Okay. Let go. And the sword says truth. Authentic truth. it feels like letting go of prior disappointments and other people who potentially, in your perspective, have let you down, who've potentially had their own prerogatives or their own reasons for certain things, selfishness, or it feels like the rug being pulled out from beneath you, betrayal, like a suspicion of betrayal, or this feeling of betrayal, or just not seeing eye to eye on something, some sort of something like that. And just don't let it get you down. Don't let that it's not tarnishing your authentic truth, but it's a distraction. You're just meant for so much more than these trivial things. It's so little, so insignificant to the power of you. You know what I mean? I'll go one more. Soul writing. And I see that kind of looks similar to here and here. Like, we see this. That looks like the same, right? And maybe that's the angel of wisdom here. Oh, you can't see the whole thing. See? It's all gonna make sense to you. I don't have any doubts. And so maybe this whole reading is more of reassurance that any question or any fear, any thought, like anything that comes to your mind that you're searching for the answers for, you will receive it. And you can fall back on faith, as everyone can, but especially for you, like those dreams that you have, those desires that you have, it's seemingly fantasies to some, right? Like some people would say it's a fantasy to have the vision that you have of your life and who you are to become. And it just feels like that's your truth. You're just seeing who you are destined to become and who you've been in prior lives as well, in very similar fashion. And once again, you're so much more wise in this lifetime. You're so much more connected in this lifetime. You're so much more focused on your spiritual nature and of the destiny of the future and the divine plan. And you're working very much in line with your guardian angels and with God. Like you are planting the seeds of enlightenment for others, and the plants that will create the canopy for people who need shelter from the storms of darkness, and nourishment for people who are needing that. You are doing that. And if you have certain desires in you on a personal scale, don't worry. That's what they're saying. It's like, don't worry. We're not going to let you down, is basically what they're saying. Is like, maybe you might see it as an act of betrayal of your mind, or this act of betrayal of spirit like letting you down. Like, what is the bigger purpose in this? Why is this like the way it is? And there's that slight that you might have or question before you have to just fall onto your belief or whatever. And they're saying like, trust us. You're going to be happy with us. Trust us. I just want to pull one more. This is so similar sometimes. Like, so I just talked about the beginning because I can see a lot of similarities where it's like, I mean, it is, this is it. I mean, it's true. It's true. Your purpose and your vision, you're not going to be able to see it to the capacity of which you are going to become necessarily. Did that sentence make sense? It's going to be bigger. So I could tell you every single specific thing, which I feel like in some ways I did. All the desires that you have will come to fruition. That's not a fantasy for you. That's reality for you. And to keep in mind, is actually going to be better than you imagine. It's going to be bigger than you imagine and more impactful than you can ever understand or conceptualize, because you're living it. You're not going to understand it because you are doing it right now, and you will continuously be doing it. And so I am saying with the lotus of how that grows through the mud, and that spiritual unfoldment that happens in the symbol of a lotus flower, and how it's just so precise. Everything in here, you're just so in tune and so in line. You are not just a visionary, you're not just a spiritualist, you're not just a leader or a general in an intellectual battle, but you are all encompassing everything that you, of everything good. It's just a very beautiful message from your guardian angels. So I notice a clownfish here, though. I don't know if that's a clownfish, but that is a clownfish dipping into your fountain of wealth. So just be wary. There's someone dipping into your fountain of wealth here, a clown. But he's not going to do much. It's not that big of a deal, honestly, because it's just ever-flowing abundantly. So I would just leave it be, honestly. Okay, that's it. Bye.